Hey, what is going on? Gamers Squirrely here. Thank you guys so much for joining me as always. I hope you're having a great early Scream Fortress 2020 so far. So, keeping my tradition of making a video, giving a first look at these new unusuals, every time we get an update, we get new effects, whether it be for hats, or taunts, weapons, whatever it is, I like to give a first look, showcase them with you guys, and also rate them, review them, talk about how popular I think they will be, how easy they'll be to sell, kind of some cool ideas when you're thinking about making matching items or theme sets, things like that. As someone who's seen every update, every unusual, everything that's ever come out with TF2 and been in trading for so long, I feel like I have a pretty good idea how new effects and new items do in the game. So I'm going to talk about that today, starting off with the unusual effects for the hats, and then go into the unusual taunts at the end of the video, and then give you guys a little summary, wrap it all up, what do I think are the good things, the bad things, how to expect these to sell in the marketplace, and give you guys just kind of my opinion overall of this update, which was a really good update, but to be honest, we were a little bit let down when it comes to unusuals, but let's get started. The first unusual effect on our list here is the green Giggler. Now, I want you to look closely because you're going to notice something, and it's actually a pattern that we're going to see with all the unusual effects this year for hats, is that it's old effects, it's old unusuals that are just kind of stacked together. And also the themes are a little bit too themed, like they're kind of forcing the Halloween theme. The entire effect is all Halloween. This one is the party effect. There's like balloons, there's green confetti, there's a little bit of green energy in the middle, and then it's like these laughing faces. And it's the exact same thing on the orange version. There's also a purple version you'll see next. So these are probably going to be low tier. Flat 2D effects like this don't usually sell very well. You know, there's only a couple that I think do kind of well. Like, you know, maybe the flat effect like Circling Heart or something does okay for the most part. But usually when you have these like flat 2D effects that are just kind of like spamming around to make them look kind of like more active, they don't sell well. They're not very popular. People don't really like them. They feel kind of just cheap. And especially for me, I don't see this as like a fancy new effect. I see this as like just old effects stacked on top of each other, which just feels, I don't know, kind of lazy and just like you don't really want to unbox them because they don't really feel like they're anything exciting or new. Now, the purple version, of course, is probably going to be the most popular of the three. It's still probably going to be low tier, but if I had to pick, it's probably going to be more popular of the three. It's going to be fun to make color theme sets, you know, with the purple effects, purple energy, whatever it is. But like I said, it's a little bit too themed for me around Halloween. Like, I don't want laughing faces. I'd almost just wish it was like the energy effect, and that was it, to be honest. Like, the more simple, the better. Pyroland Nightmare looks really cool, and I definitely, you know, just because I've been in trading and I've seen so many different unusuals so many times over my life, I'm trying not to see it as from like a high tier trader's perspective. To be honest, all these effects look cool. If you're a newer trader or you're new to TF2, they're all going to look really cool and exciting. But from a trading perspective, this one, I think it looks cool. I like the fire trail, but I do not think, like the other effects, it's going to be that popular. Now, there's definitely some themes you can put with it, but it's pretty much orbiting fire with another 2D effect flipping around. So it's going to match, you know, the new Balloonicorn that came out, the skeleton, but that's about it in my mind. The Gravelly Ghoul, this is one of two effects that came out. It's a little bit hard to see, unfortunately, with the hat that I picked on here, but it's kind of like this little cloud storm with lightning and things floating in the air, and then you have a gargoyle above it floating over your head as well. So I do like the, you know, the intense kind of action and happening in the cloud. I do like the color, the kind of like the light purple and gray. I don't like, once again, these like weird 2D like floating objects that are just like, I don't know, they just don't seem to fit so much. And so this is also very, very Halloween themed. It's probably going to end up being lower tier because I think gargoyles are cool, but I don't know like who wants a gargoyle floating over their head as like an unusual effect. The same thing with the Vexed Volcanics effect on here. I think the red and orange effect is cool. I like that this gargoyle is kind of like glowing and shining a little bit differently. It looks like he's kind of like possessed, but I'd almost rather just remove the gargoyle, you know, make the cloud bigger, make the effects a little bit flashier, make the lightning bigger, something like that. Sometimes these 2D effects, for me at least, they kind of just ruin it and they just make it feel like more cheap and like kind of cartoony or childish. I don't know how to explain it. Personally, I don't like it because I think it's all about showing off the hat, showing off the character, and then these things kind of end up just distracting from it sometimes, unfortunately. But I think it's cool, you know, for a newer trader, but as someone looking at ranking it, it's definitely going to be lower tier. Now we have a very, very themed unusual effect for Halloween. You can see on here, we have this little jack-o'-lantern, like a trick-or-treat bag with candy flying everywhere. So one thing I do like about this, although it's a little bit too Halloween-y for me, and it's basically, you know, like a little sunbeams effect behind another 2D object with more 2D objects flying around. So it kind of feels like it's just a cheap way to make like an unusual effect active. But I do like the fact that this, you know, can be paired with other things. A Halloween hat. We have plenty of pumpkin hats now that came out for Halloween, even the pumpkin head itself. But then also this effect, the candy effect, is a war paint. So if you wanted to match it up with that and, you know, make these cool matching sets, you could. But as far as trading and selling it, it's definitely going to be lower tier effect, I think. Now we're looking at probably one of my favorites of the bunch on here, which is not saying a lot, unfortunately. But this one, tons and tons of pumpkins, tons and tons of sparkle. You can see on here, it's probably the biggest and most active and unusual of the whole bunch. I love Halloween, I love pumpkins, I love the whole thing, but it's just too much in your face because it's like, I wouldn't want to wear this on anything besides a Halloween set, playing a Halloween map during Halloween, like, you know what I mean? So I want the unusual effect to be cool on its own and not so forced, but the opposite could be true too, where if you get this effect on one of the pumpkin hats and you're wearing a pumpkin outfit, and pumpkin bombs, and you have like orange effects and orange war paints, then it's a really, really cool theme. On that aspect, I think that's actually really nice, but it's probably, once again, going to be like low tier, maybe low mid tier. Now this takes us into the unusual taunt effects, which most people from what I've read and seen online kind of save this update when it comes to unusuals because the hats were a pretty big letdown for the most part, but these taunts are sick. Now this one in particular, I think has 3 different versions on it. Yep, there's a second one. There's also a team colored one, but this is just perfect. This is exactly what we need. It's unique. It's still themed, but it's still cool and it's still flashy, and you can just see so many different uses for it. It doesn't like just scream Halloween. It could be used for anything else. There's lots of different color variations, and just the idea is perfect. It's really, really fun and simple, but this, any of these taunts, especially on a continuous taunt, like, a dancing taunt or a static taunt, whatever it is, are going to look really nice and catch people off guard. And in game, you're going to see these and be like, whoa, what is that? What's going on? So that's what you should be going for an unusual taunt. Now we have Static Shock and Veno Shock, which are probably, in my mind, really, really cool effects because your actual character is glowing and sparkling, and it looks like you're like being possessed or electrocuted, or you're going Super Saiyan mode or whatever it is. So I think that's a really cool idea, and there's definitely other unusual taunt effects that kind of copied that, but I like it. It's simple and it's themed, and it just fits really, really well with Halloween. Now we have the spider effects on here, which caught me a little bit off guard because I thought there was only one of them, and then I found out there's 3 of them, and I was like, how can you have 3 effects? Like, what's the difference in the effect? It's literally just the color of the spiders. So unfortunately, I think it's really fun, honestly. Like, it's really fun. It's really active. I don't really love the 2D effect on the floor. It looks kind of cheap in the spiders, but the character and the spiders falling off his body, to me, looks really cool. That looks really spooky and themed, and the fact that you have 3 versions of it, to me, feels a little bit too, like, really? You can't even tell the difference in the color of the spiders. There's one effect, and, like, that's the only difference. So it kind of seems like it's a cheap way to say there's more unusual effects. It's literally just one effect, and the spiders are slightly colored differently. That's about it. But I like that it's active. I like that it's fun. But from a trading perspective, it's probably going to be pretty cheap and pretty low tier. Now we're getting into the last 3 unusual taunt effects, which most people, it sounds like, are agreeing that they are the coolest ones. They're probably going to be the most popular, the easiest to sell. They may not be super expensive depending on how many are unboxed, but I like the idea that your character is the unusual. Your character is glowing and sparkling. It looks like you have some superpower or you're from outer space or something. So you can see how things can just be very simple like this. It's just a glow with like a little trail of like these sparkles and embers, and that's it. But it fits perfectly. It's not trying too hard. It's not forced. It's not these giant objects above your head or on the floor or whatever, we usually get. So these are really, really nice. They're probably going to be the most popular high tier of the whole set. Spellbound, especially, just think about all the different beautiful purple sets you can make with these. It's going to look really, really nice. So those are all the new unusual effects that came out for hats and taunts this year. Overall, I would say this is a meh, maybe like a C, honestly. If it wasn't for these taunts that came out with it that look pretty good, it'd probably be like an F, literally. Or maybe not an F, a D plus or something. I don't know. But the unusual effects for the hats are pretty underwhelming, aside from the fact that it's going to be good for low tier traders, for making some really, really nice theme sets. So if you love Halloween, you love pumpkins, you love matching colors like the purples and oranges with other things, then that's great. But as far as a trading perspective, someone who wants to see something, shake up things a little bit, become new high tier or new mid tier, I don't think they're going to do that. They're all going to fall in low tier. What might help them actually is that some people like to collect Halloween effects, and if not that many are unboxed, it might drive up the price a little bit. But what is probably also going to help it, like I said, is that when I check Steam Community Market, usually by day 3, 4, or 5 after an update, there's a lot of unusuals that have been unboxed. When I check, there's not that many. And it's not because there's not like a different unbox rate. It's just people don't really care about the hats and the effects that much this year. They're just too Halloween themed. They're fun, they're goofy, but they're just too much forced on Halloween. So for me, usually I want to unbox a little bit to see what I get. I had no interest in unboxing any of the hats, any of the new unusuals. I was like, I'll just do the war paints. I think those are a little bit cooler. Overall, I think we still got a really good update. You know, because I'm a trader guy and I like unusual effects, it's a little bit of a bummer, a little bit of a letdown. And this is something I kind of thought might happen when the summer update came out, because I saw these. I'm like, these are pretty cool. These are some cool energy looking effects, but are these supposed to be the Halloween effects? Because it looked like these are Halloween effects. So are we still going to get, you know, hat effects for Halloween? Are they going to let us down? And that's kind of what happened, unfortunately. It looks like the summer updates looked like they should have been the Halloween updates, and the Halloween hat effects we got are just way too Halloweeny, even for me. So that's saying a lot. But overall, a great update. We have tons of new contracts, some really fun new goofy cosmetics that came out. Also, the new maps that came out are awesome. So there's just a lot to do right now. There's a ton of people playing. Overall, it's a great time to be playing and to be a trader. But as far as hats go, a little bit of a letdown, but that's okay. There's still, you know, a new market that will be opening up for maybe really, really themed sets for these new Halloween effects. So thank you guys for joining me as always. Down below, do not forget to let me know your thoughts on these new effects that came out for the hats and the taunts, as well as how are you enjoying the Scream Fortress update so far. And congrats to everyone who won my giveaway on scrap.tf and all the people. I'm going to be looking through your screenshots on the 20K celebration video. Thank you guys so much for the support. Things are going crazy and I'm having a lot of fun with you guys. But don't forget to join the Squirrely Squad down below so you guys never miss a new video. And if you see me in game, don't forget to say hi. I'm going to play some more Scream Fortress on some of my favorite maps. So maybe I'll see you soon. But have a great one. Take care. Stay safe. And until the next video, peace.